حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وخليله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة فكشف الله تعالى به الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين من ربه. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد الرحمة المهداة وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. All praises belonging to Allah Azza wa Jal. May the peace and blessings be upon His beloved Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and upon his family and companions in entirety. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal on this blessed day of Friday to make us of those who invest in those critical things in life that will make all the difference in terms of our status in this dunya and the akhirah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who prioritize His pleasure over all else and make us of those who strive in this dunya to attain His pleasure until we meet Him and He's pleased with us. Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen. Amma ba'd, brothers and sisters, our deen teaches us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam teaches us that everything worthwhile in this dunya needs some effort, thought, mind share, needs strategic planning, needs an investment. If it's worthwhile, it needs my attention and it needs my care, or else it won't render its fruits. Everything in this dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made with clear process, procedure, a clear beginning, and a clear end, and with clear markers along the way for me to guide myself in this journey. And the Prophet ﷺ teaches us the same attitude. When the Prophet ﷺ, he says, كُلُّ أَمْرٍ ذِي بَالٍ لَا يُبْدَأُ فِيهِ بِبِسْمِ اللَّهِ فَهُوَ أَبْتَرُ. Every considerable matter, every worthwhile matter that doesn't start in the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, doesn't start with mindfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is void of blessings, is void of benefit. And one of those critical things that our deen teaches us that we need to invest in is in our souls. We need to do spiritual planning. And we need to take advantage of those opportunities in life that Allah gives us to really build our character, build our capacity as individuals to deal with situations and struggles and really grow in our understanding of Iman and of our relationship with Allah and with people. Spiritual planning, just as people do financial planning, or now with the summer coming, vacation planning. Just as people plan for their dunya, if they don't plan for their akhirah, then they will not find the fruits of spirituality. They will not find the fruits of Iman. They will not find the fruits of that connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. Prophet ﷺ, he taught us. This is very important to be mindful of this as we're entering in the summer. Right now, we have a lot of our youth with us in the masjid. Schools are done, or almost done. If not this week, then next week. They're all going to be with us. And we're entering on a time frame that has a great deal of freedom, I guess you could say, and for children and also for parents, people taking time off from work to do whatever they're going to do as a family. The Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us how to capitalize on our interactions with those around us. Because he ﷺ was able to elevate the youth around him. He was able to give them a sense of self-worth. The Prophet ﷺ gave everyone who fell in his orbit a feeling of self-worth that lifted them up. Think about the brother of Anas ibn Malik. Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik had a brother who was called Aba Umair. He had a bird that died. And the Prophet ﷺ saw him devastated because his bird died. So he came to Aba Umair and he said, Ya Aba Umair, ما فعل النغير? What happened? Speaking to his emotions and his sensibilities, really making him feel that he matters and he's worthwhile. The Prophet ﷺ, on top of this, taught people to elevate their discourse and to elevate their outlook, that they're living for a greater calling. As we're going into the summer and our youth are going to find themselves at a fork in the road, something that will either make them or break them. What am I going to inspire my children with? What am I going to inspire myself and those around me with? Look at the Prophet ﷺ. Look at the hadith of Ibn Abbas as he was addressing his very, very, very much younger cousin, Ibn Abbas, and he said to him, Ya ghulam inni u'allimuka kalimat. Oh young boy, I teach you words of wisdom. That elevated him and his outlook towards things. Is my life about me, myself, and I? Am I living for my personal indulgences? Am I wasting away that free time that I've been blessed with? Am I being cheated out of it? That's something to think about. Every one of us, think about it. As we're entering in this time frame of summer, the Prophet ﷺ teaches us to elevate our outlook on life. Life's more than about what's right in front of my eyes. He said to Ibn Abbas, I teach you words of wisdom. Guard Allah's boundaries, Allah will guard you. Have trust in Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't deny you. And those things that trigger fear and concern in your life, know that you'll be able to navigate them and get around them if you have Allah with you. Beautiful words of wisdom. We know the hadith, and I don't want to go into the hadith very much, but this settles an understanding within us. This causes an understanding to settle within us. That, hey, you know what? The time I have, the efforts I have, the opportunity I have, the free time that's in front of me is something that needs to be utilized and benefited from to the maximum. More than me, myself, and I. Look at this hadith. We all know this hadith. And, it's a very well-known hadith. The Prophet ﷺ describes two blessings as something that many people are going to be cheated out of. These two blessings affect many things in life. Prophet ﷺ says, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِّنَ النَّاسِ. There are two blessings that many, many people are cheated out of. And that wording is very, very particular because it shows that just as you, as a mu'min, should be planning, know that on the other end, shaitan is planning for you. Shaitan is trying to take away two things from you. If he takes them away from you, you'll lose on the most precious things in this dunya. What does he say? As-sihha, good health. And every healthy person should look to someone who's afflicted with illness to realize what that means. What does it mean to be cheated out of your health? What does it mean to miss out on the opportunity that your health and the vibrancy of your youth and your younger years provides? What does it mean to miss out on that? Elevating the discourse. That's what the Prophet ﷺ is doing through these ahadith, raising our outlook to something greater. As-sihha wal-faragh, free time. Free time. How are you using it? Prophet ﷺ teaches us to think about missed opportunities that will often lead to regret. اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. We know it. We know this hadith. It's not about knowing the information. It's about those realities settling within us. This hadith is teaching us something. Hey, you know what? You have health today. I guarantee you this. It's not going to stay there forever. You have youth today, I guarantee you this, it's not going to stay there forever. You have free time today, I guarantee you this, it's not going to stay there forever. Because when you're healthy, anticipate illness is going to come your way one day. When you're free, anticipate that distractions are going to overwhelm you sooner or later. When you're young, guess what? Older age is going to creep in faster than you think. So these realities are what built the understanding of those early generations around the Prophet ﷺ. We know that the first supporters of the Prophet ﷺ were younger people, younger age demographics. We know that one of the companions who was considered the older companion in the first group of believers was Sayyidina Abu Bakr. Even though he was younger than the Prophet ﷺ, they say he was in his late 30s when he believed. But he was relatively older for most of those people who followed the Prophet ﷺ in the first days, 38. And they say Umar was 10 years younger, in his late 20s. We know Sayyidina Ali, he was the believer when he was a young boy. But what is unique to think about here is what made that age demographic during the time of the Prophet ﷺ special. What made it unique? Willingness to accept advice, willingness to change. Every young person right now, every person, when I say young person, I don't mean teenagers, I don't mean people who are younger than that. No, people who are even older than that, who still are vibrant with life, very capable. The realities of old age haven't settled in yet. Some people, mashallah, the realities of old age have settled in, but they're stronger than the youngest people among us, mashallah. May Allah give us that strength until we reach our older years. But the reality is, these companions were special for a reason. It wasn't just because of their age. It was because they were willing to change themselves. And one of those universal things that our deen teaches us, when you see unwillingness to change, guess what you're going to find after that? You're going to find a whole lot of ruin. Someone who's not willing to take advice. Someone who's not willing to realize, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't have experience yet. Maybe I need to learn a few things before I pass judgment on something. Maybe I need to take it easy a little bit. That person's going to miss out on a whole lot. Young unwillingness to accept advice. You know what the Quran says about that? That's a group of people who disbelieve. They said, إِنَّا وَجَدْنَا أَبَاءَنَا عَلَىٰ أُمَّةٍ وَإِنَّا عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Right? We found our forefathers doing something and we're going to follow suit. That's the mindset and attitude of every person who's unwilling to change, unwilling to accept advice. What message do you carry? Again, a message for every one of us, especially the youth. As summer's coming in, think about this. What am I living for? What message do I carry? Youth in the Quran has been noted as being a special demographic. Why? Because they were carriers of messages. Look at the fitya of the Kahf, the young boys of the cave, the young men of the cave. What did Allah say about them? إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. They are a group, a band of young men who believed in Allah, and we increased them in guidance. What message do I carry? You know, again, this is even a message for every single one of us. What am I living for? Let me zoom out and look at what my life looks like. Is my life entirely dedicated to me, myself, and I? Is my time invested in everything that amplifies the nafs? Am I actually assisting my son or daughter in amplifying the self in the way they use their free time? That's something to consider. What does that mean practically? If this summer is going to look like 5 hours a day on video games and 3 hours a day on Netflix and the rest of the time eating and sleeping and playing, guess what? I've assisted my son or daughter to amplify the nafs. If my mindset is programmed that, you know what matters in existence? I need to do these assignments. I need to go to school. I need to take care of, I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to do X, Y, and Z, and it does not involve any selfless activity, then this is destructive. This is destructive. What does it mean to be a functioning believer in society? What's futuwa? What's sacred manhood? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to raise a man, to raise a woman? Someone who fulfills those unique responsibilities that Allah Azza wa Jal has put on our shoulders. What does it mean to fulfill that? What am I building? What am I raising? Well, if we look at society today, we see a whole lot of things plaguing us collectively. The struggle. What does the struggle look like? Lack of commitment. Lack of commitment. How's that affecting people in their lives? On many different levels. In their education, in their work, in their marriages, in their relationships. Lack of commitment, lack of patience, Lack of sacrifice. What happens when I become programmed in a way that when I see problems coming this way, I run the other way? I don't have the grit to stick with it and work through it and try again. What happens when I don't have patience with life? Brothers and sisters, these are real things. What am I creating? What am I designing? It goes to those foundational things that our Salaf, they taught us. They amplified for us. They guided us. The Prophet ﷺ set this standard. What's the struggle that we're having collectively right now at this moment with these concepts and these ideas? What does lack of self-control do to a person? What does lack of self-control do to a person with their desires? When I have a desire in front of me that I really want and I don't have the spiritual capacity to hold myself back, what happens then? Lack of self-control. What happens when I get angry and I don't know how to stop and press the brakes? A whole lot of things happen with lack of self-control. What happens when I don't have integrity? What happens when I don't have integrity? These things are instilled within people at a young age. How can I raise my son or daughter to be a person of integrity? I want my son or daughter to have a job. That's fine. That's great. That's great. Teaching them independence, teaching them to exert themselves and to apply themselves. That's good. But what can I really inspire them in terms of having a broader outlook on life? The 5 obligations, right? My obligation to my deen. My obligation to Allah. What does that even mean? I have a duty to Allah. I have a duty to my deen and my Islam. Perhaps for some young people, I've never even considered this notion. What does that mean, duty to Allah? Duty to the deen? I owe something to my deen? Duty to family, 3rd obligation. Duty to my nafs, the 3rd obligation. What do I owe my nafs? What do I owe? What responsibilities do I have to my nafs? What do I owe my family? Do I owe my family anything? One of the destructive things is for there to be a reality of someone who lived in this dunya for 16, 17, 18, 20 years, and they don't think in their mind that they owe their family a single thing. That's devastation. That's devastating. For someone to find themselves built up in this dunya for 20 years and having no sense of duty to family. I don't owe my parents nothing. I don't owe my siblings nothing. I don't owe family nothing, right? Duty to family. How can I broaden the horizons of myself or my son or daughter to realize that there's something called duty to family? That there's something called duty to ummah. There's a responsibility that I have to something called the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Teaching myself and my son or daughter the importance of community. Why is community important? If I as a mother or a father, I as an adult don't really feel that community is important and I actually avoid community at all costs, what is that causing to settle within my son or daughter? Why is community important? Well, let me go back to the Prophet ﷺ. Why was community important for him? What effects and impacts does community have on individuals? Right? The struggle, then the impact. Brothers and sisters, if we look at society today, again, when we look at the mental health struggles, these are problems that have come about, compounded problems that have come about because of behavioral issues for society, largely. Some people, they have mental health issues because of chemical imbalances in their body. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested them. It's not in their hands. Some things, some realities that are within us are out of our control. It's not because of my behavior. It's a test. I need to be patient with it. I might need treatment for it. Brothers, please, تقدموا إلى الأمام. افسحوا يفسح الله لكم. Please, if you see any space, come forward. Jazakumullah khair. That's true. But largely speaking, when we're talking about the mental health crisis, we're talking about something that's become compounded because of behavioral issues, how society is living, the effect of social media, the effect of the technological advancements on individuals, how it's contributing to a sense of isolation, a sense of antisocial behavior, a sense of emotional distress and disturbance. This is real stuff, brothers and sisters. The impact, struggles with friendships. We can't tell you, especially go to our schools today. You'll see the condition of the school system today. Whether you're talking about Islamic school or public school, all the same. Of course, varying struggles, different struggles. But you will find that there is a really, really, really alarming problem that every person who's experienced these systems notices in society today. Something very scary that doesn't speak well for the coming generation. And if we don't address this issue and we don't work through it, it's going to be a big problem. Brothers and sisters, struggles with friendships. You will find on an individual level, especially if you've experienced that, there will be many people who are very good by themselves. Very good, innocent people. But because of toxic companionship, because of external factors, they get pulled in directions that end up ruining their life. Ruining their life. Like, how many times has there been a story like that? A person, boy or girl, gem on their own. They got caught up in the worst situation possible and it completely ruined their life. Took their life away from them. Brothers and sisters, this is real stuff. Inconsistency with work. Deterioration of marriage. Where do you think this comes up from? This all goes back to those fundamentals. What does it mean to raise a man? If I'm going to raise a good husband, that starts when my son is a young teenager. If I'm going to raise a good wife, that starts when my daughter is a young teenager, even before that, in their stages of early development. Teaching those fundamental things that help people deal with everything in life. Self-control, patience, sacrifice, right? Dealing with having a sense of integrity. Amana. How can I really raise my son to be a person who is ameen? Because this person's going to be working in a job, in a business. He's going to be working for someone or have his own business one day. Is he going to be a person who's trustworthy? That just doesn't fall from the sky, brothers and sisters. That's something that's cultivated, developed. These are characteristics that people find within them because of their tarbiyah throughout their years. Brothers and sisters, the opportunity. We spoke about the struggle, the impact. What's the opportunity I have? I'm in this dunya, I don't know when I'm going to leave. As a mother or father, I should be thinking, you know what, one day I'm going to leave my son or daughter behind. I don't know what I'm going to leave behind me. Am I going to be looking on from my grave at a devastating, horrific reality? Oh my goodness, I wish I taught my son or daughter better. Or am I going to be going to my grave with a heart full of confidence that I have raised a core of true believers between my sons, between my daughters, who are really going to be able to carry on after I'm gone? This is something I should think about, the opportunity. How can I teach my children a sense of responsibility? How can I really train my children to have a spirit of service? Selfishness and selflessness are things that develop within people based on their surroundings and their experiences. A selfish person doesn't become a selfish person at 30. That's not how it happens. Brothers and sisters, what am I creating for my son or daughter? Am I magnifying the self and making them people who are so self-absorbed? Or am I making them selfless, dutiful? People who are willing to sacrifice for others. People who are noble, who when their principles are put to the test, they stick with their principles. This is the opportunity I have now, because as I'm going into the summer, just as we said, spiritual planning for the summer, this is how it works. Just as you've planned out maybe 1, 2, or 3 vacations or trips as a family, what thought have I given to really having critical conversations and interactions with my children, if I have children? Or what thought have I put for myself as an individual if I'm not married? If I have that free time, where do I find myself on this spectrum? What's incorporated in my day? Is my day all about working, eating, and sleeping? Is that what my day looks like? Or is there something more special, more precious? Where does family fit there? Where does community fit there? What duties Am I filling to my deen? Am I really taking the time to continue to grow as a person in my relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, instilling a spirit of service? These are a lot of different things, brothers and sisters, that we ought to give our thought to and our reflections about. Brothers and sisters, these things go back to universals. One of these universals is, and this should be on every young person's door, right? If you don't know this statement, or go print it out, put it on your door, remind yourself of this every single day. إِن لَمْ تُشْغِلْ نَفْسَكَ بِالْحَقِّ شَغَلَتْكَ بِالْبَاطِلِ. If you don't consume yourself with goodness, it will consume you with destructive things that will ruin you. That's the reality of it. This is the headline for 1,000+ stories that all end in regret. Oh no, I allowed myself to get distracted, and then I found myself in X, Y, or Z. I allowed myself to lose focus. I allowed myself to waste away my days. The second principle that goes back to a whole lot of things. لا تصحب من لا ينهض بك حاله ولا يدلك على الله مقاله. Don't associate with somebody who will not make you better. Don't do it. Don't associate with someone who won't make you better and won't lead you back to Allah Azza wa Jal. Again, tons of young faces in the crowd. Wallahi, brothers and sisters. Wallahi, brothers and sisters. Many people have found themselves in very difficult situations in life because of not having these two principles in mind. Many stories start like this. My life went downhill as soon as I got to know so-and-so. My life went downhill as soon as I allowed myself to get into certain situations, into certain realities, into certain associations. Brothers and sisters, as I'm going into summer, let me perhaps reconsider a few things that are easily within my grasp, that might make me or break me. Think about accessibility to haram. How accessible is haram to me or to my children? If haram is constantly at my fingertips, guess what? It's going to be extremely difficult to avoid it unless I have relentless will. Think about that. Am I going to allow my son or daughter to lock themselves away in their rooms for hours on end? Am I going to allow my sons or daughters to just run freely, run wild, to fulfill every desire and every want that they have? Right? Negative influence, accessibility to haram. These are things that go a long way in affecting the free time we have. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that many people are cheated out of two blessings. I pray that we're not of those cheated out of the blessing of good health and the blessing of free time. Allahumma ameen. Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد أشرف الخلق وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. أما بعد, brothers and sisters, the amana that we have on our shoulders in terms of our free time, in terms of our time in this dunya, in terms of our commitments and our relationships are so great. And as we're entering this summer, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to enable every single one of us to make proper use of every single day before it goes away in our records forever. There are many different approaches that people take to parenting. Among these approaches are three that you don't want to consider, that you don't want to take. These are devastating things. They don't have a positive impact in any way on your children. The first of these is the attitude, I will continue to exert maximum pressure to maintain authority. This is one attitude towards parenting. What does this mean? I'm going to threaten if they disobey. I'm going to cut off financial support if they don't follow. I'm going to disown them if they don't choose the career I want or they don't get married to the person I want. This is one approach. The other approach is, I will let them experiment in haram so that they could just continue to trust me. I'm going to let them do whatever they want. I'm not going to say anything because I'm scared. If I'm going to say something, they're going to cut me off. I'll accept their girlfriend or boyfriend in my life. I'll abandon any sense of accountability. This is the second destructive approach to parenting. I'm going to let them do haram as long as it's under my supervision. The third approach is, I don't have the time or capacity to be involved. I've done enough. Didn't I buy them a car? Didn't I send them to school? Didn't I put food on the table? It's not my fault. Someone else's problem. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I'm the money bank. I provided the money. Right? Tarbiyah is something that comes about very slowly, but its impacts are very far-reaching. And I need to really consider, am I really carrying that responsibility of tarbiyah for myself, for my children? Am I really investing in my soul, in my children's soul, as much as I'm investing in their bodies? Am I investing in my children's souls just as I'm investing in their bodies? Am I giving the attention to my soul as much as I'm giving the attention to my body? These are deep things to think about. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us of those who carry their responsibility with amana. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to train our children to have a sense of responsibility, to have a sense of duty, to have a sense of true rujula, true manhood, true womanhood, true shahama, true integrity, true character, to deal with everything that may come their way in life. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give that and give that to us and bless us with that. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna وعافنا واعف عنا وتجاوز عن سيئاتنا اللهم اغفر لصغيرنا وكبيرنا وذكرنا وانثانا وشاهدنا وغائبنا اللهم من احييته منا فاحيه على الايمان ومن امته منا فامته على الاسلام اللهم اجعل خير عمرنا اخره واجعل خير عملنا خواتمه واجعل خير ايامنا يوم نلقاك فيه وانت راض عنا امين امين واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين واقم الصلاه.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا يرحمني يرحمكم الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وعلى. We have a lot of things happening at the masjid. Tonight we have for our Friday forum a talk about Islam and Pride Month. It's going to be with me and Ustad Zaid, inshallah. We're going to be discussing the ins and outs of the issue relating to the LGBTQ plus movement, inshallah. It's going to be tonight after Salat al-Maghrib. We also have a course every Saturday for new or considering Muslims. It's at 6 p.m. And we also have on Sundays a new course that started about diseases of the heart, Amrad al-Qulub. And it's every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. inshallah ta'ala. We also have our summer programming starting up soon. Consider signing your children up. We have them starting in the beginning of July. We have a youth program. And we also have our schools at this masjid and Patterson Masjid, inshallah ta'ala. And we have a boys' youth program, a girls' youth program. It's going to run for 5 weeks. Please consider making sure your children are signed up for something that's constructive and something that will help them throughout their summer, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. Please don't forget the masjid from your weekly support. Assalamu alaikum. What is that? Jazakallah khair. What is it? Alaikum assalam.